Ready to open the hood? UseTool for the tutorials.
And for car parts, the right idea is the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You will find the bulk shock absorbers used in the video exclusively on the Mr. Auto website and through the link in the description. Turn your engine off. Pull up the handbrake. Pull on the bonnet release lever and open the bonnet. On this vehicle, the top strut mounts are accessible. The components to be removed are very often seized up, so don't hesitate to brush and to use penetrating oil to facilitate the operation. Then, using a ratchet, a 21mm socket and a 6mm Allen socket, unscrew the nut on the top strut mount by a few threads in order to create some play for the next operations. You can also use the specific tool used in the video, which will make the task much easier. In order to change the front shock absorbers on your vehicle, you must lift the front of the car and remove the wheels to have a complete access to the suspension system. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels, raise the front of the vehicle and put it in the two-axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. You will then be able to take off the wheels. Don't forget to slide them under the vehicle. During this operation, you will work on the steering system of your vehicle. Checks on tyre alignment when carried out by a professional will guarantee that your steering system has been perfectly aligned and is in good working order. Remove the ABS sensor cable. Remove the brake hose from its housing. Using a ratchet and a 10mm socket, unscrew the hose clamp. Then remove it. You now have to remove the stabilizer link bar. It connects the stabilizer link so that the wheels are always in contact with the ground. To do this, we recommend watching the video How to Replace the Sway Bar Link Duster 1. Using a wire brush, brush the threads of the shock absorber foot bolts and spray it with degreaser. Using an 18mm spanner, unscrew the two screws on the base of the shock absorber. Then remove them. Disconnect the shock absorber base from the stub axle. The base of the shock absorber should now be free. Finish unscrewing the lug nut from the top of the top strut mount. Once released, hold the shock absorber in one hand and finish off the unscrewing with the other hand. Remove the shock absorber. In order to change the shock absorber, you must now separate it from the spring. You can find a description of the tool used in the video, which we think is most adapted to the operation. Lock the tool in a vise. This will make it easier to use. Install the shock absorber on the tool, then tighten the mobile flange against the spring, controlling its position carefully. Check that they're properly held by the locking studs, then slowly compress the spring using the socket wrench and the appropriate socket. Careful! Pay attention as you compress the spring. This is not without risk and should be undertaken paying very careful attention. Once the shock absorber is free from the spring, using a 27mm offset wrench and a 6mm Allen socket, you can unscrew the nut on the shock absorber itself. In the most extreme cases, you have to use an impact wrench. Then remove the upper shock absorber support, the lower suspension strut support bearing. Remove the shock absorber from the spring. Remove the bellows and strut bumper.
Please support us, subscribe and like the video, that will be really cool.
You will find the bulk parts and products used in the video on the Mr. Auto site and in the link in the description. Take your new shock absorber. You need to pump it several times on the actuator to get the system going. Then install the bellows and strut bumper. Position everything in the spring. Pay careful attention to place the bottom of the spring so that it supports the shock absorber flange. Then install the lower suspension strut support bearing, the upper shock absorber support, and Finish by screwing in the lock nut onto the shock absorber stem. Tighten firmly using the 27mm socket. Unscrew the spring compression tool, paying attention to the position of the spring on the lower shock absorber support. Check that the bellows are properly fitted to avoid premature wear of your shock absorbers. You have now finished preparing the new part. Start by putting the shock absorber in place. Place the upper suspension strut support bearing in, then screw the top strut mount back in, starting the process by hand. Thread the shock absorber into the stub axle. Then put the screws back in place. Finalize the tightening of the screws with a torque wrench. Put the stabilizer link bar into its upper housing and screw it in. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Screw the bracket back on. Reclip the individual hoses. Put the wheels of your vehicle back on and lower it to the ground. The final tightening of the top strut mount is done with a torque spanner. Operation completed.
Hello, if this video helped you, like and subscribe.